Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to talk about Baby Reindeer and the controversies surrounding Baby Reindeer. Now, a quick disclaimer on my perspective on all of this. I haven't talked about this publicly, I probably won't talk about it publicly, but it does contextualize my standpoint. A couple months ago, I had my own little situation. There were discussions of restraining orders. Not going to go into it, but I will say if I block you on every single social media, do not send mail to my house. Moving on. Basically, I watched Baby Reindeer also because I saw all the controversy going on and I wanted to see what the deal was. Now, I do think it's an excellent show, very anxiety-inducing. It will put you on edge in a good way, hopefully, in the kind of fiction way, but there is a controversy around it and I did want to discuss it because I've seen a lot of differing opinions and I'm kind of surprised at that. I kind of thought we'd all agree, but apparently not. So, the controversies around Netflix's Baby Reindeer Explained. The hit streaming show is now the subject of a $170 million defamation lawsuit, among other allegations. Baby Reindeer, Netflix's limited series that debuted in April, found a large audience through its purportedly true story of creator Richard Gadd's experience with an obsessed stalker. But just as quickly as it dominated the streaming charts, the show has since become mired in multiple controversies, including a $170 million defamation lawsuit over its core premise and Gadd's own alleged impropriety of dating a transgender actor during her audition process. Then the role ultimately went to a different trans actress. I wanted to focus on the lawsuit, but I will link the article down below if you want to look at that. So I'm not going to spoil Baby Reindeer in case you haven't seen it, but this has been on social media, so this is very basic what I'm about to say. Baby Reindeer is about a woman who's stalking a man. Very creepy, okay? She's a stalker. She sends millions of texts, emails, calls, shows up outside his house. Very basic stalker things. I'm gonna leave the summary there in case you wanna watch it. But those are some heavy allegations to make against someone, right? That they're showing up outside your house, that they're emailing you, all of that stuff, right? So let's keep that in mind. So why was Baby Reindeer hit with a $170 million defamation lawsuit? In June, a Scottish woman named Fiona Harvey filed a lawsuit against Netflix in California claiming defamation, intentional infliction of emotional distress, gross negligence, and violations of privacy. Harvey claimed that the character of Martha, which is the stalker character, was based on her limited interactions with Gadd, but that she was neither a stalker nor a sexual predator as Baby Reindeer portrayed her to be, and Netflix, she continued, had made no serious attempt to disguise Martha's true identity. Now, on Impact, when I read this, I was like, this is a crazy way to out yourself. Like, imagine there's a show about a stalker and you come out and are like, that's me, I'm being defamed. Some of it is counterintuitive, I will say, because if you see a lot of similarities between you and the stalker, aside from appearance, it's like, okay, well, what are the similarities? Because maybe you're a stalker and you don't realize it. That was my initial thought. I'll talk about my final thoughts later, but initially I was like, you're just outing yourself, right? It would be like me seeing a show about a murder and being like, hey, they made a show about me. It's like, okay, so you're a murderer? And then I'm like, no, well, you know. Defendants told these lies and never stopped because it was a better story than the truth, and better stories made money, the lawsuit alleges, according to Sky News. As a result of defendants' lies, malfeasance, and utterly reckless misconduct, Harvey's life had been ruined. Now, the other thing was also, how did people find that the story was actually about Harvey? You know what I mean? And I watched a Piers Morgan interview. I'll link that down below because I'm gonna get copyrighted if I put it here. But in the Piers Morgan interview, basically, apparently, if you just Google, now I don't know back then, and that's really what matters, when this lawsuit was filed, I don't know back then what would come up, but apparently, according to that interview, as soon as you Google Baby Reindeer, true story, or whatever, Fiona Harvey comes up. So I don't know who put that out there. I don't know if Fiona Harvey put that out there. I don't know, but it's strange to me that Netflix would try to quote-unquote hide Fiona Harvey's identity, Martha, the stalker woman's identity from the show, and then make it easy to find, right? Like, you'd think that they'd make sure that they'd not get hit with a lawsuit by making sure that online people weren't just finding and saying, oh, I found the Baby Reindeer origin story person. You know what I mean? Kind of like doing your due diligence of internet cleanup if you see people outing who the show is about, if the show is not supposed to out them. Anyway.
Swipe away if you didn't watch Baby Reindeer. And so watch how crazy this gets. So not only did they find out who Martha is, her name is Fiona Harvey, but they found her old Twitter too. Do you remember this line? But it gets weirder. So she was tweeting this back in 2014. And look at this, she tweeted this all in one day. But if you see this, it gets really weird. She kept talking about all the phones that she had. And she was tweeting about him all the way even in 2016, and even tweeted on this new account in 2018.
The lawsuit, which does not name Gad himself as a defendant, claims that Baby Reindeer spread brutal lies about Harvey, such as claims that she was a twice convicted stalker. In fact, Benjamin King, Netflix's head of public policy for the UK and Ireland, told Parliament in May that Baby Reindeer was obviously a true story of the horrific abuse that the writer and protagonist Richard Gad suffered at the hands of a convicted stalker. UK journalists were unable to verify King's allegation. So the other thing is that in that interview with Piers Morgan, according to background checks, there are no actual convictions with this Fiona Harvey woman who claims to be the stalker. That is either made up, or it's also possible that this man has had more than one stalker, but I mean, if you see Fiona Harvey and the woman Martha and Baby Reindeer, they do look very alike. So I'm very torn on this because in one way, I don't really care about protecting stalkers because I'm not gonna get too deep into it, but people who have that type of behavior don't really get empathy from me. Go see a psychiatrist, go see a psychologist, take care of yourself, but you're not gonna get empathy from me for ruining someone's life. On one hand, there's that. On the other hand, you know, we don't really know who to trust. As much as I don't want to trust a stalker, I can't just give blind trust to a writer saying, oh, that person's a stalker. So complicated. And I think that that's why there's so much mess around all of this, is because there's no consensus, and how can there be? None of us were there. None of us really fucking know, apart from people who were in or are in Richard Gad's life, right? Harvey denied that she'd ever been charged with a crime or indeed had ever pursued Gad in the way the show claimed in an interview with Piers Morgan last month, though she has since denounced Morgan as well. She also claimed that she was forced to reveal herself as the inspiration for Martha after receiving numerous death threats from anonymous internet detectives who managed to piece together her identity based on clues from the Netflix show, which she said even used real quotes from text messages she shared with Gad years prior. In a red carpet interview with Entertainment Weekly, said the Baby Reindeer cast had decided not to watch Harvey's interview. So this is where I also have difficulty understanding, because it seems like Harvey is also the one supplying a good deal of information, in the sense of, to come out and publicly say, after internet trolls determine, ah yes, it was about you, to kind of confirm that and to say, ah yes, some of the text messages were copied from our text messages, doesn't help you. At that point, you don't respond to anyone, you go directly to a lawyer, you go to the police. I see that firsthand. Lawyer, police. Well, not in that order, police then lawyer in my opinion, but do not confirm anything online. Like, absolutely not. Will the defamation suit impact the show? Harvey's litigation is still ongoing, but it's already resulted in possible consequences for projects similar to Baby Reindeer in the UK and Ireland. Deadline reported in June that the BBC has received a wave of duty of care compliance requests targeted at factual dramas, such as the forthcoming Channel 3 series Kidnapped. In the UK, defamation and related charges are governed by libel laws far stricter than those in the US, which prevent media outlets from identifying many people who've been accused or charged with crimes. Netflix, in the meantime, seems to have no intention of backing down. We intend to defend this matter vigorously and to stand by Richard Gad's right to tell his story. So another interesting thing that happened on the Piers Morgan interview is that they were talking about how at the beginning of the show, I can't remember word for word, but they say, based on a true story, or, you know, that kind of thing that movies say. And I thought that that was an interesting choice, because you literally could have shut up. And I don't know if legally the ramifications change. I would assume so, because if you're not out here claiming, ah yes, this is entirely true, no lies here, everyone. If you're out there and just showing something that happened but not making any claims, people probably wouldn't go looking for Harvey, right? Because they don't know that Harvey's a real person. This could be entirely fiction. So even just the choice of putting that is interesting. I would hope that Netflix did its due diligence in terms of legally protecting who needs to be protected, including the identity of Harvey. Though, like I said, if Harvey's a stalker, I don't really know how much I care about protecting the identity of someone who doesn't respect other people's privacy, but that's a different story. Aside from that, this is getting really interesting because it's really getting to the heart of the conversation, that is, How far do we go with protecting people, even those who, I'm not saying don't deserve it, but even those who did the thing and you're just talking about the thing they did? And granted, facts can be swayed with your opinions, right? You can make things look more severe or less severe, even though the fact is what it is. As a general concept, I think that, well, we've seen historically men being stalked is often undermined, specifically when it's women stalking men. It's kind of, as far as I've seen on the cases I've talked about, so it's a limited scope. But as far as I've seen, it's like when men say that their partner who's a woman has been abusing them, there's often some kind of derision, disrespect, not taking it seriously. So the question that came to mind, which I know, I'm sorry, is so annoying, but if the genders were reversed, would this pan out the same way? Is there more likelihood to give Harvey the benefit of the doubt because she's a woman and, you know, like, how could a woman stalk a man or scare a man and all that other bullshit people pull? I'm just wondering, and maybe that's not the case, but I had to stop and think about that for a second because I feel like anytime the roles are reversed, we see some fuck shit. We see it all the time with creepy female teachers hitting on, if not doing worse, with their male students. We see that, right? And we see these women get jokes of like jail time, if even any jail time. So I'm wondering if the same thing is extending to stalking, and I'm wondering how comfortable people would be doubting a woman's accounts of stalking versus a man's. Now that's not me taking any sides, it's me questioning, okay, where is everyone coming from and is it justifiable? As of right now, I don't have enough information. I can't make up my mind and I don't feel comfortable doing that with something this serious. You guys can let me know what you think in the comments down below. Honestly, I would love if no real stalking occurred because that is terrifying, truly terrifying. But on the other hand, I also don't feel comfortable completely just denying someone's experience because the person who may be a stalker is like, no, that's not how it went down, even though she confirmed that the texts were in fact the texts. So it doesn't look good. Anyway, you guys can let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to my patrons as always, and I'll catch you guys next time.